Before we, Before we begin today's topic, a quick correction from my side. In yesterday's video, I accidentally spoke about my week 2 Wednesday topic, the people who stayed earlier than planned. Sometimes that's how content creation goes. Topic gets mixed up and stories find their way into the conversation a little sooner than expected. So consider that a small scheduling mix up. And today we will continue our long stories and long day series with a topic that was originally meant for this episode for the day. So hello everyone, welcome back to another episode in my long stories and long days series. Today I want to talk about something that I think many of us have experienced at least once in our lives. The place we thought we would live. Not the places we visited, not the places we saw in photographs, but the places we genuinely imagined would become part of our everyday lives. The cities where we thought we would wake up every morning, the streets we thought would become familiar, the cafes we imagined visiting every weekend, the places we believed would become home. Because if there is one thing I have learned, it is that life is not only a story of people, it is also a story of places. And sometimes the places we never lived in teach us just as much as the places we actually do. So there's a geography of dreams, not actual maps, dream maps. Maps filled with destinations we believe we are meant to reach. So as a student, I imagined many different versions of adulthood. Some versions lived in different cities, some lived in different countries, some belonged to entirely different careers. At various points, I imagined living in Mumbai because of media and entertainment. I imagined living in Bengaluru because of its youthful energy. I imagined living in cities abroad because they seemed exciting and full of possibilities. And every dream came with a picture of who I thought I would become there. And for New Delhi, the place that stayed. Yet through all those imagined destinations, one place remained constant: New Delhi. The city where I was born and raised. The city that witnessed my school years, my college years, my career beginnings, my successes, my doubts, and my growth. The funny thing about home is that we often underestimate it. When we are young, we think the magic exists somewhere else, in another city, another country, another postcode. But sometimes the place that shapes you the most is the place you have known all along. Delhi taught me resilience. It taught me ambition. It taught me how to navigate both chaos and opportunity. And perhaps most importantly, it taught me that growth does not always require relocation. Sometimes growth happens exactly where you are. So you know what, there are cities that I romanticized. I have romanticized cities and destinations. I imagined myself living in Florence, walking through streets that once inspired some of the greatest artists in history. I pictured mornings spent exploring museums, afternoon writing in charming cafes, and evening watching the sunset over the Arno River. Florence always felt like a city where creativity and history quietly coexist. I also imagined myself in Switzerland, not because of a specific career opportunity, but because of the lifestyle it seemed to represent. The mountains, the lakes, the clean air, the peaceful surroundings. It felt like a place where life moved with intention. Whenever I saw the photographs of Swiss villages surrounded by nature, I imagined a slower version of myself living there. Both Florence and Switzerland represented something deeper than geography. Florence represented creativity, Switzerland represented peace, and perhaps that is why certain places stay in our imagination for so long. We are not always dreaming about that destination itself, we are dreaming about that feeling we hope to experience there, where every imagined destination carried a promise that perhaps I would become a better version of myself there. But over time, I realized something important. A city can inspire you, a landscape can calm you, a destination can broaden your perspective, but none of them can transform you on their own. The work of becoming yourself still belongs to you. And sometimes the qualities we seek in distant places, creativity, peace, confidence, belonging, are qualities we must first cultivate within ourselves. That realization changed the way I looked at every place I dreamed of living. They were into longer escapes. They became inspirations, reminding me one of the kind of life I wanted to live whenever I happened to be. Florence gave me a dream of creativity. Switzerland gave me a dream of peace. Life taught me that both can be found within long before we reach the destination. So what life I thought I would have? Like when we imagine places, we are really imagining geography, we are imagining identity, we are imagining a version of ourselves, the successful version, the confident version, the adventurous version, the fulfilled version. And that is why moving somewhere new often feels appealing. Because we believe change of location will automatically create change of life. Sometimes it does, but often the deeper transformation comes from within. So if I talk about long stories and long days, this month I have been thinking a lot about long stories and long days, and perhaps that is why this topic feels so personal. Life is not built in dramatic moments, it is built in ordinary days. The morning walks, the daily commutes, the familiar roads, the favorite cafes, the repeated routines. So when we imagine future places, we often imagine extraordinary moments. But life is mostly ordinary moments. And happiness depends on how we experience those ordinary moments, not where they happen. So you know what? There are some places that never became my home. Yet they still changed me, like Mussoorie. Mussoorie taught me the beauty of slowing down. Travel taught me curiosity. Historical monuments taught me perspective. Every destination added something to my story. Not because I stayed there permanently, but because I allowed myself to learn from it. Sometimes a place enters your life for a weekend and stays in your heart forever. So it's like home is more than an address. As I have grown older, my definition of home has changed. Home is no longer just a location. Home is where I feel understood, where I feel safe, where I can be myself. Home can be a city, home can be a family, home can be a conversation, home can even be a future dream. And perhaps one day home will include a new city and a new chapter. Perhaps it will include a husband and a family of my own. Perhaps it will include a place I haven't even discovered yet. But whatever happens, I no longer feel pressured to chase destinations. I'm learning to appreciate the place I am in while remaining open to the places still ahead. So they're like still places I hope to see, places I hope to explore, places that continue to live quietly in my imagination. But now I view them differently, not as solutions, not as escapes, not as guarantees of happiness, but as chapters, potential chapters in a story that is still unfolding. And you know what I think is the beauty of life? This is the beauty of life. We don't know every destination, we don't know every turn, we don't know every chapter. So if there is one thing I would tell my younger self, it is this, that you do not need to live everywhere you dreamed of living for your dreams to matter. Some places are meant to become memories. Some places are meant to become lessons. Some places are meant to remain possibilities. And some places surprise you by becoming home. Life is a long story made up of long days, and every place we visit, leave behind, imagine, or call home becomes part of that story. So, wherever you are today, don't rush to the next chapter. Take a moment to appreciate the place you are standing in, because one day it too will become part of the story you tell. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of Long Stories and Long Days.